Hello there, and welcome to another tutorial of the Portal app for daycares. First off, if you made it this far, congratulations. We want to say thank you for really taking the time to explore the Portal app and really learning about every aspect of it so you can succeed as a daycare. Now, we've entered into a specific section related to the Portal application, which is a set of actions that we call movements. As you can see on my screen right now, currently I'm on the home page of the Portal app. The homepage you can always arrive by clicking the Lucy logo on the top left-hand side, or the Portal pill right there as well. Now, when you first arrive at Portal, typically you'll be looking at something that looks like this. And this is because most people will only have one organization or one business. All the daycares and programs that you set up will be under the umbrella of this organization. Very rarely will you have someone who will typically have two organizations. But for the cases that it does happen, that's why we created this homepage that is outside your organization. So for the account that I'm looking at right now, there are 4 organizations, but for yours, you'll typically be looking at one specifically. Remember that when we were talking about Lucy at the beginning, we said that if you're a daycare, you would fit into one of 2 buckets. And the 2 buckets were either that your daycare was not listed on Lucy's Circle already, in which case you would be creating a new organization and daycare profiles, or the second bucket where your daycare already is on the platform and all you would have to do is to claim the profile and then basically edit and update the profile that's already on there. Up to now, all the tutorials that we've done have been related to this first bucket where you would be creating a profile from scratch, but now we're going to be introducing the movements actions so you learn about how all of this works. So back in the portal page, this is a little bit hidden. On the drop down, you'll see that you have a settings, personal drive, and movement. Let's look at settings super quickly. Now these settings are the settings within the portal application. You see that it's very similar to the home page for Lucy, where you have personal settings about your email, your phone, your name, and your date of birth. You can set the icon from here as well. And then you have the default organization, the notifications, and then the account deletion process. On the drop-down as well, we have the personal drive, and then we have the movements. We're going to click on the movements right now. The reason we call movements actions is because a movement is any time you have an organization or a daycare profile and it's getting moved from one place to another. So for example, all the profiles that exist ahead of time, which are the ones that you can see on the homepage, these already exist and are currently managed by admins. But the moment you want to take control of your profile, the movement is basically from an admin to your own account. And that's what we call the claim. A claim is the ownership of an unclaimed organization from the directory. Now, what is a release? A release is basically the opposite. A release happens to be where you have an organization or a daycare, and you want it to remain on Lucy, listed, but you don't want to manage it on your own. Now, the reason we have releases is because if a profile remains inactive after a certain period of time, we will deactivate it. So if you want to make sure that it continues to be listed, but you don't want to manage it yourself, you would do a release. And again, a release is just the opposite of a claim. You're releasing the ownership from your personal account, and you're bringing it back into the admin control. As you recall from the previous tutorials, we created this Maple Grove organization, and then within it, we created a couple of daycares, an organization, and a program. But if you remember, none of these got published. And the moment we want to publish these, if you recall in the profile, we have this Publish Now button. And when we click that, it actually redirects us to the publication form, where it asks us which organization we want to publish and which specific daycares within that organization we would also like to publish as well. The intention behind this action is to make sure that Lucy has really rich and correct data for the daycares that are listed. This means that there needs to be a balance between how we let daycares onboard to the platform and set up their profile and learn about the system, and at the same time maintain very healthy information on the public side. So that's why everything by default is private, and only when your profiles are ready to go, you would submit a publication request, the admins would look at it, and once that publication request is complete, the admins would set a field for your account called publication granted, and they would enable that basically. And as soon as that publication granted is enabled, you have the full flexibility of when you're ready to publish. Now, a deletion is any time you want to delete your organization or a specific daycare. Now, the reason we put this behind a movement action as well, rather than something that is self-served, is because organizations have subscriptions as well. If you happen to have an organization and daycares that are private, and they don't have any paid subscription, you don't have to go through the deletion process with movements. You can delete it on your own and close your account without any issue. However, in the cases where you already have a paid subscription, we want to make sure we properly offboard you off of the platform. And that includes making sure that you cancel your subscription properly before you delete the organization. So by creating a deletion action, we will assign an admin member from our team to make sure that any paid subscription that is active on your account properly gets canceled first before we execute the deletion that you'd like. I'm going to show you briefly what each one of these looks like in a little bit more detail, and then over the next couple of videos, we're going to dive into each one at a time. So let's click on claims. You can see in claims right now, I don't have any active claims, but I have 2 inactive ones. And I also have a search organizations button. So let's click this search organizations. What you see right away is that we have a set of organizations here. These organizations are the ones that come directly from the Lucy platform. What that means is that if you happen to see your daycare right here, for example, let's say we find this daycare right here, the Seymour YMCA. What I can do is I can search for Seymour. And you see right here, we've located the Seymour YMCA club. This allows me to click claim and then start a claim process to transfer the ownership from the admins to my personal account. And again, we'll be covering this in the claims video, which is the next one. So for now, I just wanted to show you an overview of how that works. And this is what a specific claim looks like. You'll get a chat for support so that you can communicate with an admin. And then you see this claim, and you see that this claim transferred the ownership of this organization and this daycare as well. It also shows you all the applicant information that you provided and the step-by-step process that the claim included. Claims do require a proof of ownership, and we'll provide more information in the next video about that. Let's go back to claims, back to movements. Let's go to releases now. A release is very similar. So right here we have a submitted release, which is basically saying that this ABC Montessori, we want to release the ownership of it and return it back to the admins. If we click in here, you see that it's a very similar view. We have the organization and the daycares that we want to release. Now in publications, if I click on this past publication, you'll see that this is a publication request that granted publication access to the organization profile and each of these 3 different daycares. Now, if I happen to create a 4th daycare in the future within this organization, it would not have publication access, because what we're saying is that we're opening up a new daycare in a new location. So what you would have to do in that case is create a second publication request for any daycare that is added later on. This gives you the flexibility to either complete all the profiles right away and create a single publication request, or fill one in at a time and do multiple publication requests over time. Publication requests will also have a timeline for every step involved, and they will also require supporting documents to prove that this daycare is real. Finally, moving on to the last one, which is deletion requests. You see right here, there's a submitted deletion request for the Always Happy Montessori daycare. If I click on this one, this is actually an open deletion request. You can see that it's been submitted, and I still have the capability to cancel it if I want. The chat is not yet available until an admin opens up the request, but you can see that what we're intending to do is delete this organization and also delete this daycare. And we have the same timeline of events, and we can add supporting documents while we're closing it, although it's optional in this case. So there you go. That is a very high-level overview of how movements work. If you're looking for a step-by-step guide for any of these specific movements, please check out the following videos, where one by one we'll be covering how to open a claim, a release, a publication, or a deletion action. Thanks for watching.